What do you think makes you happy? Most people want a good high paying job so they can buy whatever they want. For you, that might be a new phone, a new clothes, a new car, a new house, or something else. But do these things really make you happy? I'm going to tell you why money, materialistic objects, true love, a perfect body, why these things don't make you as happy as you think. This is because the biases that we have in our minds. One of them is that our strongest intuitions are often wrong. I'm sure you've seen these two lines. I'm sure you know that these two lines are exactly the same, but our mind still believes that one of them is longer than the other. An actual example of this in terms of happiness would be when you get a better grade than when you expect what you expected, or when you get a worse grade than when you expected. You believe your happiness levels will go high, way higher, or way lower than it actually does. In reality, it shifts by such an insignificant amount that it does not matter. A lot of things we strongly believe that if we had, it would make us way happier than it actually does. For example, if you ended up finding $1 million in front of your house, you believe that you would be extremely happy, but in reality that's not the case, which will be also explained by the other biases that I'm going to mention. Second bias is that we tend to judge things relative to other things. When you see this example, because of the other circles surrounding the center circle, we believe that one is bigger than the other, but in reality they're both the same. An example of this in real life would be when, let's say you're in a race and you got second place. You're thinking, oh, if I just was a little bit faster, I would have got a gold medal. So you're not really as proud as you are when you get you still got a second place. You're not as proud as you are because you're comparing yourself to the first place that you just missed by a slight margin. But for example, you just got third place. In this case, you're comparing yourself to everyone else that didn't get on the podium, because if you were a tiny bit slower, you wouldn't have even gotten in the top 3. That's like one way to see it. Or like, for example, in school, if you got 60 on an exam and then everyone else got 80, you see yourself as worse than if you got 60 and everyone else got 30. Now you feel like a genius. You kind of get the point of, you always see things relative to other points. This also affects you even when the relative points doesn't have anything to do with the specific event. There has been a study done with judges that have done their work for 15 years or more, and they made it so that one set of judges roll 9s and another set of judges roll 3 by default. And what has been seen is that the amount that they sentenced the same crime was more just because of the judges who roll a 9 compared to the judges who roll the 3. This is one of our biases that we don't really notice, but it's there. Our third bias is that our minds get used to things. For example, think of when you got something new that was super exciting. Think about it now. Like, do you really feel as happy as you were when you initially got the item? I don't know, let's say you got new clothes or a new phone. Like, when you initially got it, you probably thought, this is pretty nice. But now, do you really appreciate you having a phone? Like, do you really appreciate the difference of when you didn't have a phone to now? You probably don't notice it that much. A lot of things, like if you think a few years back, your life probably was way worse than what it is right now, but you don't really notice it. This is also why where we see studies from the past compared to now, people didn't have no iPad, no laptop, no electronics at all times. Like nowadays people got Apple Watch, people got phones, iPads, PCs, laptops, everything. Back in the days there was nothing, but their happiness levels was seen to be even higher than now, because nowadays you always keep upgrading, but you don't really necessarily upgrade your happiness. And the fourth bias is that we don't realize our minds get used to it. Even though I told you this, I'm sure if you go buy more new clothes or a new thing, you really believe that will make you happier. Let's say you had a new car, a new house, you think your life would be so much better. But in reality, you get used to it. That's just how it is. Like in the example I told you about you finding $1 million. Like you believe that will genuinely make you happy. But the thing is, there's been studies done with lottery winners, and they have seen that happiness levels don't actually change that much. If anything, it gets worse. This is why money, materialistic objects, true love, a perfect body, this is why we think these things will make us happy, even though they don't make us as happy as we think. So you might be wondering, how do I actually be happy then? Simply put, it is to negate or reduce the effects of the biases I've mentioned. And to do that, you would have to do certain tasks like meditation, savoring, and much more. I'll go more in depth in those things once I learn and apply some of them into my life. I hope you learned something, and thanks for watching. In reality, it shifts by such an insignificant amount